two of 2024, because it's like, and I hope you can see this quite clearly. We see what I'm doing, right? Alts lead here, and alts have been leading now for a couple of weeks. So people are getting more and more into alts, and they're ignoring Bitcoin and Ethereum more and more. This is just what happens. They're like, they laugh and they make memes about Ethereum because it's not moving. They just lose interest. So especially if alts lead here, I think they're then set for a big period of underperformance in 2024, like early 2024. And at that point, I think ETH and Bitcoin lead. Probably more so ETH, because even though Bitcoin is the ETF, I think the majority of that trade is played out, and ETH has not had its time yet. It's not had its rotation yet, and so I think on the ETF approval, Bitcoin will have a bigger spike. But I think from whenever, if we get a dip, from the next dip, I think from bottom to top of that dip, ETH way outperforms and probably goes maybe even 3,000 if it really catches fire. So that's what I'm looking at. That's the market right now. So I'll be really, really closely watching altcoins over the next 2, 3 days. I strongly suspect, like I fully expect Bitcoin and Ethereum to go nowhere until Friday. Unless Ethereum can flip 2,300, right? If Ethereum can flip 2,300 into support, well, then it's going to rip. It's going to go to 25, right? Remember that the options, this doesn't mean that it's going to stop. It means when it hits 23, there's a good chance that it finds supply and drops back. But if it flips 23, the next big one is 25, so it could probably push towards 25. And that's just obviously looking at one thing, which is options, which isn't the whole market. And I don't know how impactful options are on Ethereum. Probably growing in relevance, not as impactful as Bitcoin. So my main case is just Bitcoin 40 to 45. If you see alts leading until Friday, there's probably going to be one more really good shakeout over the weekend going into the new year. And I don't think that you want to buy alts on that one. I think you actually want to flip back to BTC and ETH, because the whole first half of January is about Bitcoin and ETH. Because ETH has a big upgrade coming, and Bitcoin obviously is the ETF, and then ETH has its ETF narrative, which will take over right after. Yeah, so it's probably time after the next shakeout to focus on BTC ETH. A lot of people are talking about get long ETH beta, right? Like Arbitrum optimism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think, to me, that's a little bit like the Bitcoin Cash trade. So if you remember, Bitcoin Bitcoin had its big move. When was it? I think it was the June and July move, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Right. So Bitcoin. Yeah, there we go. Right. So Bitcoin, whenever the ETF was announced, the ETF application got absolutely smashed by Bitcoin Cash. Right. This was Bitcoin beta. It was long Bitcoin Cash, not Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash went up 200%, while Bitcoin went up 20%. Outperformed it by a factor of 10. So then it came time for the next, pump. I'll get long Bitcoin Cash. I'll get long Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash. No, the trade was Bitcoin, because everyone was like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, so many people just discovered what beta was, and they're like, "Oh, so if Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin Cash goes up more." No, there's no rules. There's no fixed rules. That only happened because it is a valid beta play. People always is long Bitcoin Cash when Bitcoin goes up, right? Some people, but it was also not crowded. Not many were doing it, and it was illiquid and easy to move. But then everyone started crowding the Bitcoin Cash trade instead of just fucking longing actual Bitcoin, which is the best asset in the market. So, same thing with ETH. Don't make this same mistake. I really think people are sleepwalking into this. Um, they're ignoring ETH and looking at, I'll just use optimism because it had this big move and everyone's now like a super op bull. I'm like, I mean, you don't really, I don't think people really understand the convergence, the relative strength, and the mean reversion that's probably going to happen. I'm not saying I'm definitely right, but I am saying that this just reminds me almost exactly like the Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin trade, where, yeah, optimism can do great. It's just broken to all time highs. It's flipped that. It's probably going to go a bit higher. But if we have this next like little shakeout and then ETH starts to run, I don't think that optimism is going to outperform it. I think optimism will just lag and ETH will actually run. Because when ETH gets going, ETH's going to go. And everyone who thinks, oh, well, every time ETH's gone up, it's been better to long op or long ARB or long whatever, Matic or long any of these ETH beta plays, you're eventually going to be wrong. And the conventional wisdom is fast becoming, right? The accepted narrative is fast becoming that ETH beta is better to play than ETH, like ETH altcoins, ETH shitcoins. And I think that's about to be very, very, very wrong. So my focus just would be on ETH itself over Op and ARB and all these other ones. I mean, ARB's lagging so much that it could go up, I guess, but it's probably also lagging for a reason. It's just super crowded itself. I mean, Op's the best, or ARB is the best example of people trying the ETH beta play over and over and over again and just failing. Obviously, this is fine. This looks like Solana did in 2020. It's probably going to chop around and make it really messy and choppy. And then eventually, once it breaks all time high, it's going to fly, right? Sure. But I think RBETH, I should do. RBETH, does anyone have it? There we go. Binance has it. So RBETH has finally shown a bit of life after underperforming fucking all year. OpETH probably looks quite bad. Yeah. OpETH has had a big move up and is heading up into resistance. So even though optimism's at all-time highs, OpETH isn't. And after this big move, everyone's going to start allocating into Op. And so looking at that, I think optimism's had its run. Most likely, it's more likely that it finds resistance up here, right? It finds it hard to break that level. RBETH actually doesn't look as bad. RBETH has just cleared, or is trying to clear previous resistance after underperforming. So if ARB can make a new high against ETH here, it is a cleaner run towards a new high with very little resistance. That was just from its early launch. So as an ETH beta play, RBETH is better. OpETH, I think people are going to over allocate into. But I think everyone's just missing the key thing, which is it's probably just ETH. I think the best bet when it's flipped an 18-month range from resistance into support and is consolidating and chilling at this level, right, with probably declining volume as well. Yeah, volume, I mean, sort of flat. Not much real change on that. Or did I put on the... I didn't have the volume thing on. Anyway. I think it's just time for ETH, right? Because your bet on ETH is it's actually quite asymmetric here. Your bet on ETH. It's like if it's wrong, then alts are fucked too, right? Because the way this could be wrong is if ETH goes like that, loses the level, and it's all over and we go back down. But that's going to mean the whole market goes down, right? Whole market retraces. So if you do that, you're wrong on ETH at like 2100. So you're wrong quite early. So it's quite a decent bet because the upside could be 3 or even higher if ETH really gets going. So your risk reward is decent. And ETH is closest to its most recent support, which isn't just any support, it's an 18-month breakout. Whereas, like, if you take the op trade and you're wrong, well, where are you wrong? Right? I mean, you say here, but it could stop out there and still go to new highs. Because like op has had its run, its initial run. So where's the edge in trading op? I don't really see it. Because it's all contingent upon ETH, right? So you can either say that the thing that's already up a lot is going to keep going up and ETH isn't, even though ETH's got all the narrative coming, or ETH itself will outperform. I don't know. I think just for ETH as a whole, it needs to have this period of outperformance, and I think whales and all that, everyone knows that, and it's you know collectively ETH needs to pump to bring interest back to Ethereum and to all the side chains and stuff, and doesn't mean it will happen, but I think we then see this like layer two season, mini layer two season coming into focus. I know there's Manta, which is like a new L2 that's launched, and there's a bunch of uh, ZK Sync's probably going to drop a token soon. Stark Ware is going to drop a token soon, and they'll probably do that in Q1. And Q1 is like the most obvious layer two hype season, in my opinion, as the focus shifts away from Bitcoin onto Ethereum with the Denkun upgrade, which apparently Denkun upgrade, the Dank sharding law, apparently it's really good for op and less so for ARB. I don't know. I'm not techie. That's what I've heard from people who are smarter than me, that it's better for op, this upgrade. So that's why op's outperforming. I tend to think that op's outperforming because Arbitrum is just over. Arbitrum is massively crowded because Arbitrum is the better of the two chains. It has more TVL, it has more transactions, more addresses, more everything. And so I think everyone just thought, a few months ago, oh look, Arb's winning the L2 wars. Let's get balls on Arb, and Op was just left there nicely unnoticed and kind of creeping up. So that's what I think it actually is, positioning, not just fucking whether one's better or the other. And for that same reason, I think positioning is wrong on ETH. And I've been the first person to say that ETH is a crowded trade all year. And it's slowly, people have been abandoning ETH. And now it's the point of people saying ETH's dead, ETH's a piece of shit, ETH's a B2B chain, it's only for fucking rich people, retail don't want to trade on it, blah, blah, blah. You forget very quickly that whenever you've got fucking meme coins that are going up 200% a day, people don't mind paying $30 for gas, $50, $100. This has happened in every single bullish market we've had. Right? Every time we've had a bullish trend and we've had euphoria or a little peak of excitement, ETH has always blown up. ETH shitcoins have gone crazy. ETH gas fees went wild, but everyone was still flipping shitcoins and NFTs on Uniswap and on OpenSea and Blur. That's what happens. So, yeah, long term, will ETH be able to outcompete Solana and stuff for shitcoins whenever there's no gas on Solana and there's high gas in Ethereum? Sure, probably not. But I guarantee that once candles start going green again, and you see like fucking Harry Potter Obama pumping and any of these ETH shitcoins pumping, people are going to fly back into ETH and pump the shit out of it. No doubt. And I think that's probably coming soon. So my focus to end this is really watch alts in the next few days. watch the pullback, and then flip to ETH and Bitcoin, I think, as we head into the ETF GM.